RSVP here, so we'll get started. Oops, that's a good start. So my name is Sang Lee, and I'm one of the organizers. If you can't hear me, tell me so I can talk louder. Yell at Celina too. My name is Sang Lee, and I'm the co-organizer for Korean Startups and Entrepreneurs. Welcome, and we really started this event off as a meetup to get Korean entrepreneurs, Korean startups, Korean entrepreneurs together to really discuss some of the issues that people face as Korean Americans as well as Korean entrepreneurs abroad. Now we've become a full-blown nonprofit. We have 260 people signed up. We have great partnerships and great endeavors that we're pursuing, and one of the series that we're working on is the Korean Entrepreneur Series, where we're taking successful entrepreneurs and poking them and prodding them and asking them all the hard questions so that we don't have to go through a similar situation. So without much further ado, I'd like to introduce Celina Lee. I'm going to read because she has too many accolades, so it's very hard to read. She's a lawyer, an author, a talk show host, and a radio personality. From New York, and she's published an award-winning book in Korea called Live Your Dream, or 꿈을 이뤄드립니다. In her book, she tells about stories of 9 Korean Americans who have lived their dreams and their stories of overcoming failure to achieve success in diverse industries. She's also the president and council of Chong America and spearheads the effort for global investment for a premier real estate developer from Korea. I think I'm just going to skip some stuff because she's too well established. So it's not because I don't like her, it's because I'm going to be reading the whole thing. She graduated from MIT with an SB Management Science and received her JD from UC Berkeley School of Law. So please give your hand up for Celina Lee. So just to give everybody an idea of the format, I'm going to ask her, like I said, a couple of difficult questions. We'll try to keep it short. If we have a lot of questions during the process, feel free to start raising your hands, and then we'll gauge how we'll proceed from there. This is going to be a free-form, dynamic discussion. So Celina, let's just start off. Tell us a little bit about your own journey. Why did you study what you studied, and what did you work on until now?
Sure. So thank you everyone for coming. It's really horrible weather. So when I published my book in Korea 2 years ago, I had a book meeting with my readers, and it got completely snowed out. The whole city was buried under the snow. So of course today I have an event here, and then it's gonna rain. Right? So anyway, but thank you so much for coming. And I know it's quite a journey to get here, so I really appreciate all of your effort and time to come here. And also, last night I stayed up until 4 a.m. trying to watch the lunar eclipse, and it was foggy, so I was really mad. But so not much sleep last night, but I think I'll be able to answer most of your questions. So yeah, so about my journey, I was born in LA. I was born in California, and then I moved to Korea as a baby when I was about 3 years old, and then I finished elementary school and then came back to California. So I moved back and forth a lot at an impressionable age, and finished middle school and high school in California, and then moved to Massachusetts for college. And then during law school, during undergrad, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Initially, I wanted to thinking that I'd be an engineer, and then they made us take too many math and science courses during my freshman year. That everyone has to take that. And then I was, trying to see what I wanted to do in my life. And it was kind of interesting how I ended up going to law school because as an undergraduate student, I did a lot of research work. I was a research assistant as an undergrad, so you don't really do much, but I just had exposure to working with different professors. And one of them, whom actually I wrote about in my book, he had a very big impact on my life. So he went to law school but never practiced law, but was an MIT professor for about 40 years. He actually passed away. So I write about my relationship with him when I was visiting his nursing home before he passed away, and all of that. That's in the book. So his research was always about law and technology. So that's kind of how I got very interested in law and technology. Yeah. So then I thought I was going to go to law school, but just randomly I ended up working at an internship during junior year and senior year so I guess I kind of lived my life trying to do all the things that I was supposed to do to make myself happy or successful. So, as a young student, you're encouraged to study really hard and get good grades and go to good school. And then after that, you're supposed to get a job at a big firm or bank or law firm, which I did. So I did all of that. And then I kind of felt like really unfulfilled after I'd done all of that. So I always had a goal in my life. When I was in high school, it was to get to a good university and get good grades. And then after the university, to get a job, which I did. And then go to grad school and get a job for that too. So after I did all of that, and then I was working at this very big law firm in New York City, was getting paid a lot for my age. And it was a good job. And, I really liked the firm and the people that I work with, but I felt like there had to be more to life than just getting a job and a paycheck. So I decided that I was not going to wait for somebody to give me the opportunity. So I just started to pursue things that I thought was meaningful and interesting. So that included doing randomly, I did like a talk show. So it's too long a story how I got that, but I did a talk show, and then one day I had an idea to write a book, so I did. Yeah, so my life is full of kind of random accidents and incidents that kind of led me to where I am. Nothing was ever planned. I didn't really plan anything in my life. Yeah.
You sound like a very fickle millennial.
That's it.
A lot of studying, a lot of working, it sounds like. But getting to where you are today, was there a specific event that you can say really changed your perspective on a lot of things? I think people feel a lot of the frustration that you felt before, working in a big corporate, feeling like you're not making a difference in the world. But I feel like people have a moment where there's a light bulb, where somebody said something to you, or you saw something, and that really motivated you to do the things that you've done today.
Yeah. So as a Korean American, Asian American, I think I was in a way brainwashed by the society to do certain things in my life in a certain way by a certain age, certain things. And then I kind of followed that path without really asking myself if that's the life that I want for myself. And then after I did all that, and then I realized I was not really happy or fulfilled. So, and then I thought, okay, so then, as I said before, I needed to make the change or do something about it. And then, so I think that realization kind of came when I was working at a big law firm. And, it's kind of ironic because you think that that's when life is kind of settled and I've established my life and I finished all the schoolings and, all that, and then went to grad school and all that. And then I started to ask life's fundamental questions that I never had reason to ask me. Like, who I am, what am I on this earth, what am I good at, what do I like, how would I contribute to this world in a meaningful way, what makes me happy, what is success, what does success mean to me, and what do I want to do, what do I want to do for the rest of my life, like those really important fundamental questions that I feel like I should have asked as a younger student. I didn't really have time for that, or it never really occurred to me that those are the very important questions that I should ask myself. So it was during sort of that time, I guess it was one of the hardest times in my life, and I started to be very serious about it. And so then I said, okay, so then I'm not going to wait for people to answer those for me. So I decided that I was just going to pursue things that I thought was fun and meaningful. So while I had the talk show, I met a lot of people that I thought was really interesting. And I met very prominent people from all different kinds of industries. But the people who inspired me the most out of all these people, I met people who had tons of money, had really fancy titles, and all this and that. But the people who really inspired me personally was people who were using their skills to give back and contribute to the society in a meaningful way. And it didn't have to be anything huge, like curing cancer or whatever, which I've met some people do that too. But it was in just whatever the way that you can. It didn't have to spend a lot of money. It could be from your time or skills or whatever small talents that you may have. So, and then it took me a long time to figure out what that talent was that I had, because I was just a very average student, so an employee of a very big organization. So yeah, so it was sort of meeting a lot of people and then being inspired the ones that I really looked up to and respect.
I think that segues nicely into our next question.
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about your book?
Oh, okay.
About those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So there were two reasons why I wrote my book. I mean, I guess many reasons, but two main reasons is when I was a little girl, it was one of my childhood dreams to have a book with my name on it. I don't know why or how that came about, but then I think I started writing a novel when I was like in second grade or something, and then I get to my mom, I don't think it was really fun for her. So I don't know, as a kid, like I was a nerd and I read a lot of books, and I thought, wow, like when I grow up, like it was so cool one day to have a book with my name on it. So you know, that dream kind of stayed in my heart, although my career in finance and law really had nothing to do with publishing a book, at least not this kind of book. So, you know, people usually, you know, when you are a child, like you have a lot of creativity, you have a lot of ideas. It's, you know, like you can be anything that you want to be, right? So like publishing a book with my name on it was just one of those childhood dreams, and that kind of remained in my heart. And although like my professions have really nothing to do with it, I think I kind of never let that go. And then that dream was still really very much alive. And then when I was going through this crisis of, you know, asking myself very important questions, you know, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to figure out what I was good at, which I didn't know what that was back then, and then use that to give back in a meaningful way. So one day, you know, it was like 2-3 years ago, springtime, and I had to go to sleep really late, and I was like, couldn't go to bed, and then I was like, I just had that idea to write a book because, wow, so like I realized that I really like meeting people and then hearing their stories and sharing that with other people. And I thought, oh, so if I were to write a book of successful Korean Americans and how they overcame failure, first of all, how they found what they like to do, and how they, you know, what they learned through that journey, and how they overcame their obstacles to achieve success, then maybe I could, you know, because I wanted to interview Korean Americans and then bring those stories to the audience in Korea, because they don't really have a chance to hear their stories, because most of them are more comfortable speaking English, so you know they can't go and like talk about it like, you know, or hear, like you guys all can, but not the audience in Korea. So I was like, so if I were to interview people in English and then actually write the book in Korean and publish it in Korean, then maybe I'm using my skills, because you know I'm bilingual, bicultural, so maybe that's a way that I can give back. And then it, you know, it's also one of my childhood dreams, so that's kind of how it came about.
I mean, you know, that recognizing your skill is super important, but I'm sure while you were deciding to try to write a book, while you were writing the book, you probably faced a lot of issues, right?
Yeah.
In terms of both just as an entrepreneur, but more specifically also as a Korean American entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So, I mean, share some of the war stories where you're bleeding, you know, and well, you know, how you got over it.
So, writing this book is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. I mean, law school was tough, and you know, working at a law firm was tough. Working at an investment bank was tough. You know, those are horrible hours, and you know, MIT was tough too. Everything was tough, but it was nothing like publishing a book. First of all, publishing a book is like nobody cares. Like same thing with entrepreneurs, right? Nobody cares. In fact, so many people told me not to do it. I'm sure that's what I know a lot of people do it. So nobody cares, and people don't think you can do it or you should do it. No one's paying you to do it. No one's eating, yeah. No one is, you know, supporting you to do it. Like, so you can't even complain. Like it's a funny story. Like when I said I was gonna write a book, my mom like pretty much laughed at me. She was like, 책 아무나 쓰는 거 아니다. She's like, just write a book. Like, she's like, what are you talking about? And then I mean, like, she kind of discouraged me so much that actually I got into like fights with her so many times. Actually, after the book got published, I told my mom, like, you know, I proved you wrong, and then I was like, you don't even have any bragging rights. You can't even tell your friends to publish the book. And she's like, that was actually the first time my mom actually apologized to me. Yeah, so yeah, it was really, really tough. Like, you know, like turning an idea and a vision into a reality. It's a serious journey, and I'm sure that's what all of you as an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur go through. like it's a lot of people can have great ideas, but exactly about 3 years ago, this book in my head was just an idea. Like I didn't even know what it looked like or the name or anything. But I had to go through serious, like it was probably the hardest times in my life, and go through that journey and overcome a lot of obstacles to actually, to get it published. I had 3 major challenges writing this book. One was I knew nothing about publishing industry in Korea, so like I didn't even know the process in which how people, their authors in Korea meet their publishers. So I was like, okay, so do I write the whole book and then spam mail every single just look up on the internet all the publisher I can find and just info at whatever publishername.com or .co.kr, or do I write a chapter and then I spam mail on everyone, or do I write a proposal? I didn't even know the process in which how that works. So navigated here, that's another whole story as how I met my publisher. I actually ended up publishing my book at one of the best publishers in the country. And there's another story if we have time for it at the end. That I was born and raised in the States. Other than the 6 years I spent in Korea as an elementary school student. This is why my mom thought I could not write a book, because my education in Korea stopped at 6th grade. So she's like, people who go to masters and whatever in Korea, they kind of question what made you think that you could do it? And I had no reason to think that I could. In fact, all odds were against me. Every single I really had nothing to believe, no reason to believe that I could do it, other than the fact that I wanted to do it, so bad. The moment that I thought of that idea, and there was no going back. I was gonna do it. I was so excited about it. My heart kept beating. I couldn't go to bed, and I didn't want anything to do with anything other than just write this book. And then I had major other things going on too. But so I had no reason to think that I could do it, other than the reason that I just wanted to. So I had to do it. So quitting was just not an option. And probably the hardest challenge of all was, my book was not a novel, right? A novel in itself is, is an incredibly difficult, process because you have to create something from nothing. But this book was an interview book, right? So I had to convince 9 very successful people in 9 different industries. And successful means that they're very busy, right? Very busy. They don't have time for you. These people already have a reputation in their industry, so they really have nothing to gain from this publicity. Plus, I was a no-name author. I was not an author. I've never published a book. They don't know who I am. I'm some random stranger. So I did really crazy things. I stalked them on the internet. I stalked them at events. I would just there's all these people that I wanted to interview. I had my dream list. I'm sure these are all the things that you have to go through as an entrepreneur too, right? And so I'll give you some funny story. I wanted to interview this one particular person, and I called nonstop for 2 months. The secretary never answered. Sometimes people, the secretaries and the people are really rude, and they don't want anything to do with you. So I got more rejection trying to write this book than I've ever done in my whole entire life. And that's not to say it's because I was this great person, I was never rejected. It's because I wasn't trying to create something on my own. Before, my role as a student was to just do the job that the teacher tells you to do, or as an employee of a big organization or company, your boss tells you to do something by a certain date, and then you get paid for it, right? So I did all of those. But writing this book was nobody cared, and then I had to convince these people to meet up with me. So they would not answer, and I would email them and call them, and all these things. And then I would stalk them at all these events. I would just randomly go up to them and ask. And nobody said yes the first time, other than actually one person. Chef Huni was someone that I wrote about. I knew him from before, but the other 8 people I didn't know them before. And everyone rejected me the first time, and then the second time, probably the third time. And then I was super persistent, I didn't give up, and then they eventually all agreed to meet with me, not once, not twice, but many times. We became really good friends. I actually just had a book party a few months ago, and then people flew from Korea and different parts of the country to come to my book party. And then I still keep in touch with them, so yeah, so I developed very good, meaningful relationships and friendships with them, but it was not an easy thing, yeah.
And I mean, I think it's even harder, something that I felt. It's harder even as a Korean American. And if you're wired in like a Koreanish way,
Yeah.
it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that?
Because I'm a Korean woman, right? So even
Oh yeah, I found that.
Yeah. Very challenging. My mom told me to to not stick out, don't burden people or to be polite, always say yes, things like that. So part of cultural growing up, like I had that, and I come from a family of two girls, and my parents wanted us to be very feminine, and although I think my parents it raised me to be a really independent person, so I really thank them for that. But there's definitely cultural expectations that I will be just polite, nice Korean girl. And I realized if you want to do something, if you want to create something, you just have to do it. It doesn't matter if you're Korean or Chinese or American or whatever you are. If you have a goal, then you have to go out of your comfort zone and sometimes do things that you never thought you would. I begged people, I stalked people, I had to deal with a lot of rejections, be okay with it, and those are all the things that I was not really comfortable doing. And it wasn't, now I'm okay with rejections, but before, it's you can't take it personally. So, it was definitely hard. I think if I was a white male, maybe my world would have been different.
This is on the record.
Yeah, it's true, the people expect us to behave in a certain way. I actually recently went to this talk and we talked about, Asians and power and influence, and, definitely people look at you and be like, oh, you don't look like the person who would write a book or create a company or whatever. But, if you really want to do, and if you have a dream and you want to follow it, then you got to be able to break away from that cultural norms or the societal expectation of you to behave in a certain way.
Let's dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Beyond the things that your mom told you,
Yeah.
what is probably the most awful thing that someone has told you that could potentially crush your dreams or